There's a moment when distance stops feeling normal, when silence becomes loud, when you realize they didn't drift away by accident. If you've been feeling confused, questioning yourself, replaying memories late at night, wondering why someone who once felt so close is now standing far away, this message found you for a reason. Because when someone keeps their distance, it's rarely because they stopped caring. More often, it's because they care too much and don't know how to face the damage they caused. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And right now, something unseen is shaping this connection. Your intuition has been tapping on your chest, quietly insisting, "This isn't over. This isn't indifference. This isn't what it looks like." Stay with me, because the truth behind their distance may not just surprise you. It may finally explain everything you've been feeling. Part 1. The distance that isn't rejection. At first, distance looks like disinterest, short replies, delayed responses, emotional walls where warmth once lived, and the mind rushes in with fear. They're moving on, but the heart feels something else. That's because emotional distance often begins after someone realizes they hurt you, not before. When a person becomes aware of the impact of their actions, especially on someone they deeply value, something fractures inside them. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star." What you're sensing is their inner chaos. They didn't pull away because they stopped feeling. They pulled away because guilt became louder than desire. Some people don't know how to repair emotional harm. Instead of leaning in, they retreat. Not to punish you, but to avoid facing their own shame. Every memory reminds them of what they did wrong. Every interaction risks reopening a wound they don't know how to heal. So they choose distance, hoping time will soften what words cannot fix. But distance doesn't erase feeling, it amplifies it. That's why your intuition still feels tethered to them. Why the connection hasn't gone cold. Why even in silence, something feels unfinished. Because what's unresolved doesn't disappear. It waits. Part 2. When guilt becomes a wall. Guilt is a strange emotion. It doesn't always lead to apology. Sometimes it leads to avoidance. When someone knows they hurt you, especially emotionally, they often start seeing themselves as the villain in your story. And instead of facing that reflection, they step away from the mirror entirely. Jean-Paul Sartre said, "We are our choices." And your person is living with the weight of theirs. Distance becomes their shield. Silence becomes their punishment. Not because they don't want you, but because they don't believe they deserve access to you anymore. This is why their actions feel contradictory, why they watch from afar, why they stay aware of you without stepping forward. They're trying to protect you from further pain, while quietly suffering on their own. And here's the part most people miss. People who don't care don't feel this conflicted. Only someone emotionally invested feels this torn. Your intuition recognizes this tension. That's why you feel them thinking about you. Why emotional reminders keep surfacing. Why the bond still feels active even without contact. Distance in this case is not the end of love. It's evidence of unresolved emotion. Part 3. Why your intuition won't let go. Intuition doesn't speak loudly. It whispers, but it never lies. If your intuition keeps circling back to this person, it's because something meaningful was left unfinished. Emotional bonds don't dissolve just because space appears. They dissolve when understanding replaces confusion. Plato believed that love was the soul remembering something it once knew, and right now, your soul remembers. You're not imagining the pull. You're sensing emotional residue. Feelings that were never fully expressed, regrets never spoken, truths never shared. This doesn't mean you should chase. It means you should see clearly. Sometimes distance is the pause before growth, the silence before accountability, the moment someone needs to sit with their choices before they can show up differently. Your role isn't to fix them, it's to trust yourself, because clarity doesn't come from forcing connection. It comes from understanding energy. And your intuition already understands more than your mind does. Part 4, what happens next, depends on awareness. Distance can either become permanent or it can become transformative. The difference is awareness. When someone finally confronts the truth of what they did, not defensively, not emotionally, but honestly, distance loses its purpose. Because healing requires presence. Rumi wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." And right now, both of you are standing near that wound. Whether they step forward or not, one truth remains. You are not being rejected. You are being respected from afar by someone who hasn't yet learned how to do better. And you don't need to wait in uncertainty. Your power is in knowing. Your peace is in clarity. Your intuition is already guiding you forward, whether that path reconnects or releases. Part 5. The moment everything becomes clear. There comes a moment when confusion finally loosens its grip, not because they explained themselves, not because the distance disappeared, but because you stopped needing answers to trust what you feel. This is the quiet turning point. You begin to understand that their distance was never meant to punish you. It was the only language they knew for regret. The silence carried what they couldn't say out loud. And once you see that, something inside you settles. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This is where that power returns to you. Whether they step forward or remain where they are, you no longer feel lost. You feel grounded. You stop chasing clarity from them and start receiving it from within. And strangely, this is when energy shifts, because detachment rooted in self-respect changes everything. If they return, it will be with honesty. If they don't, it will be with your peace intact. Either way, you win, because the moment you choose yourself, confusion fades, and intuition finally becomes calm certainty. Sometimes people step back so as not to leave, but because facing you means facing themselves, their distance doesn't erase what was real. It reveals how deeply it mattered. Trust what you feel, but honor what you deserve. Whether they return with honesty or remain in silence, your intuition will never lead you to loss, only to truth. And truth always sets you free. If this message touched your heart, like to honor your intuition, comment if this resonated with your situation, and subscribe for more clarity, healing, and emotional truth. Your intuition brought you here for a reason.